Hey FlossTube, welcome back. This is my 115th video and I'm excited to share with you what I have been working on. In fact, this is my 2022 year in review, so I'll be showing you everything that I have worked on this year, so it's going to be a long video. First of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. It's been about a month since my last video, and it's been a great month. Of course, we celebrated Christmas a couple of days ago. We have had a wonderful Christmas. I kind of started out about a week before. My children, for my birthday, gave me tickets to the Messiah, and they gave my wife a gift card to a restaurant. And so we had dinner and then went to the Messiah together. It was a really great concert. It was put on by the Phoenix Symphony. They do it every year. And it was really nice. We really enjoyed singing the Messiah. Not singing, but being there, listening to the Messiah, and that was a great start for the week. We had a wonderful Christmas. We spent Christmas Eve as an entire family. We had our entire family here and spent a nice Christmas Eve together. And then, of course, Christmas was on Sunday, so we went to church for Christmas. I played the organ for the congregation to sing and also sang in the choir. And then after church, we had an enjoyable afternoon together as a family. It was a really nice, quiet Christmas, and we really enjoyed everybody's company. Things have been going well since then. Like I said, everybody's here. We've had an enjoyable time spending with all of the kids. We will be traveling up north to visit our family before I go back to work in a couple of weeks. So it's been a really nice vacation. I've had a chance to rest a little bit. I took vacation for the end of the year also, and will not have to be at work for another couple of weeks. So it feels really good to be able to get a little bit of rest. So yeah, everything's going great. So as I mentioned, what I want to do is I want to share with you everything that I've worked on this year, including everything that I've finished, the pieces that I have started, and just talk about everything. But first of all, I want to give you an update with my app. If you haven't, you can check out Cross Stitch Journal on the iOS App Store. I have had lots of suggestions for features to add, and I am working through those suggestions. There are lots of suggestions that I like, and to be quite honest, they were features that I considered doing, but I kind of put off doing that mostly because I was worried about complicating the interface. I think I've figured out how to work with that. So there was a new release that was done last week. If you have already downloaded the app, you probably received an update by now. If not, if you haven't seen it, you can go and manually update. I have added a couple of features. First of all, I've made it so that you can categorize your projects as a way to make it so that you can kind of narrow down your list, so that you can, if you have 100 projects in your ready to start list, I've made it so that you can have categories, so you can narrow things down to one category in that list. In addition to categories, you can also rate projects based on whatever criteria you want to choose. So you can now rate and categorize all the projects. As part of that, I have made it so that the filtering has a little bit more features. Before, you could only filter based on the stage that your project was on, so you selected the stage. I've made it so that you can also filter by category and by rating, and you can filter any combination of those three things. So you could say, for example, if you had categorized all of your projects, then you had a Christmas category. You could filter by all the projects that are ready to start that are Christmas, that are rated 3 or rated 5. Your rating is from 1 to 5 stars, and so it will filter down to that much. You can also not filter anything, so you get the entire list of projects that you have, regardless of what stage they are in. Also, with respect to categories, you can assign more than one category to a project now. So basically, when I was testing things out, I found that I had projects that I wanted to put in more than one category. So I added that ability as well, because there were just some things that I couldn't put in one category. So you have that ability also. With the filter dialog, one of the things that you'll notice is now when you select a stage or a category, you'll come up with a menu that looks like this. One thing to keep in mind is I have changed it so that now if you select a category, a stage or a category that is all selected in this menu, that will deselect it. That way you can unselect stages or categories. And basically you can do anything that you want. In addition to categories and ratings, I have also made it possible that you can pause stitching when you're timing a log. So if you need to pause something, if your log is in progress, you can now pause it, and it will still show up as active, but the color of the icon will change to orange. That indicates that it is paused. And what that means is that any time being counted will not count towards the amount of time that you've stitched. When you can resume, and then the timer will continue to count. When you do that, you will have a log that will indicate that you paused for a certain amount of time, and that time will not be used to calculate the total number of minutes that you stitched. So those are the three features that I have released. I think they're really helpful, and I hope that you enjoy them as well. Also, I want to encourage you, if you haven't, to leave a rating in the App Store. That really helps me, and I would really appreciate it. Just one thing to let you know, I am not notified when ratings are posted. In order for me to see ratings, I have to remember to go in and look at reviews. And somebody posted a review complaining about a possible bug. And that review sat for like 10 days because I wasn't notified about it. If you want to get my attention about a bug or a problem that you're having with the app, rather than post it in a review, it would be more advantageous for you to contact me through the support email. That way I can work with you to resolve the bug that you're seeing. If it is a bug, I can release a fix for that bug. Or if it's something that you're seeing that we don't really understand, we can do that as well. The review said that it wasn't keeping track of the number of stitches. It wasn't keeping track of the remaining number of stitches so that it matched what I'm assuming Pattern Keeper was telling them. And I have actually used Pattern Keeper to stitch for one of my projects, and I have entered in the number of stitches that Pattern Keeper says that I have done, and my remaining stitches matches what Pattern Keeper says. So I have not seen that bug. One of the things that they said makes me think that maybe there is a discrepancy between the total number of stitches that Pattern Keeper says that the project has and the total number of stitches that is entered into the project. And I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and there's no way to resolve that. The only way to resolve that is to make the total number of stitches in both places match. But I can't even I posted a response to that review asking the person who did that to check that, and also said, please contact me and we can work things out. And that's, as I said, if you have a bug, it is better to contact me through the support email, or you can even do it through YouTube or whatever. Just contact me about bugs, and I'd be glad to work with you to fix bugs if we can find them. I've also had a couple of people who have had problems importing. That is probably the most complicated part of the whole app, is importing from the spreadsheet into the app. I've had a couple of people who've had problems, and I've been able to work through those problems with them. So if you're unable to import, let me know. I kind of considered making a video detailing how to do that, but I kind of think that there's not enough demand for that. I don't think there's enough people that are trying to do that. But if you are having problems, let me know, and I will be glad to work with you to make sure that you get all of your data imported into the app. Okay? So that's my update with the app. I hope that you are really enjoying working with it. There are more features coming. I have more things that I am working on, and I'm trying to prioritize between adding more features to the app and learning Kotlin and Jetpack Compose for the Androids type of stuff. So I'm kind of moving back and forth, trying to prioritize to make things available. Okay, so there's the app. Okay, so that's about everything for the update. Let's talk about my stitching. So before we go into everything that I've finished and everything that I've stitched, I'll just show you a couple of my graphs just to show you this kind of is like a wrap up for the year. There's probably going to be a couple more days of stitching, but they're not going to make that much difference here. So you can see this is my finish and start trend for the past few years. You can see I finished 3 projects and started 3 projects. So the number of my whips is basically about the same, which is kind of good. That means that I haven't actually added a whole bunch of whips into my list. And so things are basically at parity right now. So this is my whip status graph that shows how close I am to finishing each project. The project that is closest to finish is, of course, Queen Anne's Lace, which is my focus piece. I had kind of hoped to finish it before the end of the year, and of course that didn't happen. And so I expect that I will be able to finish it in the next couple of months. It'll be sometime next year that will be finished. Everything else is kind of at the same place, but we'll as we go along, this will probably change next year. Finally, this is a summary of the number of days that I stitched on each project. You can see that the project that I've worked the most on is, of course, Queen Anne's Lace again. That is because it has been my focus piece, and it has been my focus piece for 6 months now. When I made it my focus piece, it was just under 50% complete, and now we're up above 80%. So it has taken quite a bit of work to get it to that point. I think I'm up to about 75 days. The actual number will be in the graph. About 75 days this year, and I think we're looking at something along the lines of another 30 days or so this next coming year. The one thing that I will say about this that I hope to be able to change next year is I have several projects that didn't get a lot of time this year, and I'm hoping to, of course you have the focus piece, but I'm hoping to give more equal time to all of my projects so that there's at least more than a week spent on some of the projects, like what happened this year. So, of course, I've talked about my rotation and what I'm doing, and I think that what I am doing will make it so that will happen this next year. So that's kind of an overview of what's been going on. Let's talk about individual projects. I'm planning on showing you, first of all, the projects that I finished, my finishes, and then I'll show you everything I've worked on. That will be in the order that I've started them, so from oldest to newest. So the last 3 projects I show you will be the 3 projects that I have started this year. So let's get going. The first project that I finished this year was finished at the beginning of last year, or I should say at the beginning of this year. And of course, that was this. It's always good to pull it out once more to see before it, before the end of the year. Of course, this is Amid Amish Life. Even recently, I've had people ask me where you can find this. This was a design that was originally published in Cross Stitch and Country Crafts in the first 3 issues of 1987. So it's an old project. It's a popular project. It is not only available in there. It is published in a book called 100 Best Love Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It was published as its own leaflet, and it was also published in the final issue of Cross Stitch and Needlework, which was, I think, in 2016, December 2016. So you can find it in one of those 4 places. It's hard to find, but that's where you would look for it. And of course, this is something that it took me about 3 years to stitch, and making it my focus piece was what finally made it so that I was able to finish it. It got a lot of attention last year, and then was finished up at the beginning of this year, kind of like what's going to happen with Queen Anne's lace this year. But yeah, I still love looking at this. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It was stitched. This is stitched on 25 count Wedgewood Lugana, stitched with three strands over 2 fabric threads, and it took me, even when I finished the stitching, the back stitching took me about a month. So there's a lot of back stitch in here, but of course the back stitch makes all the difference. So there it is, Amid Amish Life, my first finish of 2022. Okay, that was finish number 1. Finish number 2 is this. I'm putting it up on my board right now. Yes. So this is Time and Season Sampler. It's a design by Moira Blackburn, and it is a design. My wife gave me this chart for our anniversary a couple of years ago, and of course I stitched it. And I really like this sampler. I like the Bible verse. Of course, it's from Ecclesiastes, and I really love the colors. This fabric is 40 count Mallow from Zweigart. It's an even weave. It's not linen. I think it's a blend. Of course the floss is DMC. That's what was called for. Stitched with 1 strand over 2 fabric threads because it's 40 count. And yeah, I love the colors. It's very different. You've got these really cool greens and blues, and then then you have the contrast with these kind of rusty reds. So that's Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. And then my final finish of the year, I finished this a couple of months ago. This is the Red House sampler. This is a design by Brenda Keys of the Sampler Company. This was started in 2020, so almost 3 years for me to stitch this. And it was a real joy to stitch too. So there's another sampler that I have finished. And I love the reds in here. And love how this turned out. So I think this is my first sampler with the Red House. So yeah, so that's my third finish, the Red House sampler. Okay, so that's everything that I have finished. I think it's been a successful year. I had 3 finishes. That is more than I had last year. Last year I only had 1. So it feels good to have more finishes. And I think that the way I'm working with the focus piece will make it so that I'll have more finishes this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about my plans for 2023. So now let's talk about what I have worked on. Like I said, this is going to be from oldest to youngest whip. So, and this one might surprise you a little bit. I've kind of been hinting about it, but my oldest whip is now not actually Queen Anne's lace. It's Autumn Magic. I've been hinting that I wanted to pull this out. And I actually, since my last video, I actually did that. I pulled this out and started stitching on it again. This is the design by, well, the artwork is by Randal Spangler and the adaptation was done by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's a house in an autumn setting. And if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I have worked on this a lot. And I kind of got discouraged with it. And I'm going to come clean and say it was because I was not enjoying stitching over 1 on 25 count. So when I pulled this out and started stitching on it on Instagram, I had so many people say, "I'm so glad that you've pulled this out." And this is what it looks like now. Basically what I did is I started stitching up here. I've been stitching 1 page at a time, and I put in these zigzags on the page boundaries because I don't want to have a straight line between pages. So I started up here on the next page. Basically, I've kind of been working pages diagonally. And so I started up here on this page. If you can see, this is mostly just background. It's mostly leaves. The house is going to show up a little bit here when I get over to this edge. And I was able to do a couple of diagonals, and it was kind of fun to stitch this again. Like I said, I stopped working on this because I thought I didn't like how it was looking, that it was kind of pixelated, and also I wasn't enjoying stitching over 1 on 25 count. And I thought I would have the same kind of attitude about it. But what I found is since I stitched on this, I've started stitching on 40 count and 46 count. And this doesn't feel very much anymore all that different from stitching on 46 count to me. So, which kind of makes sense. I mean, 25 count, 46 count over 2 is 23, right? So this feels now just like stitching on 46 count. And it doesn't bother me like it used to. So it was actually kind of fun to stitch. Not a lot of excitement here yet. We'll see that next time. This will probably never be a focus piece, even though it is my oldest whip. I just don't see myself having a focus piece like this big, because it would be my focus piece forever. But I have decided that the next time, I didn't do it this time because I had a bunch of projects that I wanted to do some work on before the end of the year. But I think from now on, When I do stitch on this, I am planning on stitching until I finish a page. So I'll do a page at a time. If my memory serves, it took me about 2.5 weeks to stitch a page before. So that seems pretty reasonable. I have 38 pages left to stitch on this, including this page that I've started. So if I do that, then that means I've only got 38 sessions before this is complete. So yeah, so that's kind of my plans for this in the future. And of course, it's fun to see. I'm looking forward to see more of this appear. Just because I think the house, it'll be good to see more of the house make an appearance. So yeah, this is Autumn Magic. It's artwork by Randal Spangler as adapted to cross stitch by Heaven and Earth Designs. Okay. The next whip, of course, is my focus piece. That is this. This is Queen Anne's Lace. It is a design by Marilyn Leavitt Imblum under her Lavender and Lace imprint. And of course, this is what I have been working on. You've been watching me make progress on this all year. And it is, well, I've made some good progress since the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen with the called for DMC 2 strands over 2 fabric threads. And this is what she looks like now. And you could probably see that I've made quite a bit of progress. I finished stitching most of her. About all that's left to stitch of her is a little bit of the bun on her hair, and the sleeve of her dress just needs to be finished. That'll be finished when I finish this diagonal. So I've reached the point where all I have left to stitch is background. This green background needs to be brought over. It's kind of slowing me down because that means it's all confetti all the time. It used to be that I'd hit the dress or hit her skin and things would speed up because it was really easy to stitch that part. Now it's just a slog through confetti. So that's kind of slowed me down a little bit. I've also kind of not dropped her, but I haven't worked on her for a couple of weeks because, as I mentioned, I had a couple of projects that I wanted to give a little bit of attention before the end of the year because I hadn't stitched on them at all this year, and I wanted to give them the opportunity to have a little bit of attention. So, but at the beginning of the year, she will come back out and be my focus piece, and we will hope to be able to finish her. My app says I have about 28 days left of stitching. And then after that, I need to go in and fill in all the metallic that I have skipped over. I need to put in beads. There's a tiny bit of back stitch, not a whole lot. The back stitching won't take very long with this, but the beads probably will take a couple of days. The metallic, I think, I don't know. I'm thinking it'll be another week or two after I finish the cross stitch before she's actually finished. So, but yeah, she's really, really starting to look real. The diagonals, I can tell the diagonal is getting shorter now. I don't have to scroll as much as I move down the diagonal. And yeah, so I suspect, well, the center of the piece is about right here. And I suspect once I get this top past the center, then things are going to go pretty quickly, just because I'll be working in the same direction as the slope of the curve. And so rather than working against the slope, I'm going to be working with the slope, and I think things will actually finish up pretty quickly. So yeah, looking forward to a finish with this. I am sure that, as I said, this will be finished in the next couple of months, and it will be my first finish of 2023. Okay, the next piece, I don't think this is one of the pieces that I wanted to give a little bit of attention before the end of the year. And I don't remember if I showed you this the last time I made a video or if I started working on it. This is Anne Wilkinson 1834 by Cross Stitch Antiques. This is a design that I've kind of come in and out on. It's kind of been, I've stitched on it and then kind of ignored it for a while. I decided that I wanted to finish it. So it's right now in my rotation and is likely to be the second finish for 2023 because this will be my next focus piece. Basically, you can see I've stitched this. Basically, what I did the last time I stitched this is I stitched basically this band to the end. So I finished the band, brought the border down, and brought these borders across as well. So there's kind of a center band, and then there's two bands like this down below. So it's not quite half finished yet, but it's a sampler. I think that this will take, I think this will finish pretty quickly once it becomes my focus piece. This fabric is 46 count Confederate gray with the Zweigart base. So it's really small. I'm a little bit nervous because there is a great big huge bunch of there's an over one verse here. That's probably what I'm most worried about. I think I will do the verse not in tent stitch instead of full cross because it's so small and it's over one. I don't think it'll make a difference. And I think that'll help me finish it. But yeah, so I have the top two bands finished and should be able to finish the rest of it this year. Once again, this is Anne Wilkinson 1834. So this is one of the pieces that I wanted to give a little bit of time to before the end of the year. And the other one, the next one is another one that it's kind of hard to believe, but I haven't stitched this since last December. It had been a year since I stitched this when I pulled it out. And it needed some attention. And that's this. This is Medieval Town Mandala by Chatelaine. Yeah, I couldn't believe it had been that long since I'd stitched this. So I am sure this will be my focus piece by the end of the year. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it this year because there is a lot left to work on, but we will see. Oh, okay, just a minute. My clothespin just fell apart. Okay, so this is what I have. This is stitched on 32 count antique white Belfast linen with the called for silks. And I think it really is looking good. There's just a lot left to stitch, and it felt good to actually work on it. Basically, I stitched these buildings here, and then I've turned the corner and started working on the buildings that go around the bottom of this. And so my plan is to finish stitching this whole thing, and then we'll go back up and work from the corner back, from the center back out again for another section of the design. But yeah, these buildings, seeing these buildings take shape makes me really want to work on this some more. And this will be, I suspect that this will be a focus piece by sometime this next year. And then we'll make some real good progress on this. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do on this one. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to finish this or not by the end of the year. just because there's so much left. Okay, my next whip is Dragon Quaker. This is a design by Sticky Day and von der Feenberg. This one is really, really fun to stitch. And you've seen this. I haven't worked on this since the last time you saw it. But it is stitched on 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen with the called for colors, which I really love. I love these colors. And you can see I've reached the central dragon. He's about half finished. So this dragon, once this dragon is done, then it's just going to be a lot of stuff over here. This is actually about half stitched, and there might be a possibility that I could finish this year. Maybe. But yeah, so this one is really fun, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. Okay. The next whip is Sunshine and Shadows. This is a design by Graphs by Barbara and Cheryl. This is a full coverage piece. The reason why I like working on this one is because I love the way the light filters through in this design. So this is another one that I haven't worked on for a while. I'm kind of itching to get back to it. It's going to come up in the next month or so in my rotation. So I'm looking forward to stitching more of this. I've got a good part of this lower corner stitched. I think I've got to come up to about here before I hit the top corner. But you can see basically this is the walkway. The walkway is getting pretty much complete, and this is you can see this is the fence that goes across the front of the yard. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of the fence and actually seeing more of this appear. This is another piece that is huge. When it eventually makes it into be my focus piece, I suspect that I'll be working on this for a long time. So, this one is one I'm looking forward to stitching again. It's Sunshine and Shadows by Graphs by Barbara and Cheryl. Okay, the next whip is this. This is, I'm looking forward to all of these. This is English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. Of course, you know the rule. The rule is that you always have to have a Teresa Wentzler on the go. And this is my Teresa Wentzler right now. And yeah, I could just work on this all the time and let everything else go if I wanted to. But it's got to work its way into being my focus piece. But I haven't worked on it since the last time you saw it, so it's the same, but I'll show it to you. I am getting close to finishing the swans, and then we'll have to bring borders up and across, and then I'll be into the alphabets, and of course the border up along the side. And I'm looking forward to giving this some more love. I really love how it's turning out, and it's really fun to stitch. I've really enjoyed stitching on it when I have been able to. In fact, this is one that got a little bit more love than the others this year because I wanted to work on it. So this is English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wensler. Okay, next one is Joy. This is a design by Irie TM. This was a Christmas present from my family a couple of years ago, and it's a set of 3. So this is the first of the 3. I'm kind of thinking that I won't consider this finished until all 3 are finished. I don't know. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to work that, but this has been fun. This one, it's been a long time since I've stitched on this one too, but this one is also going really, really fast. So it is one that could very well be finished before it is able to make it in as my focus piece. But I'll show you what it looks like. I am looking forward to seeing this come up again. The J fits right in here, so that means that'll show you kind of where I am with the center of the piece. I just need to finish, there's like a motif here and a motif here, and then I'll be down right in the middle of, right in the thick of things to stitch the center of the piece. So once again, this is another piece that I'm looking forward to seeing come up in my rotation. Okay, and then we have this. This is Autumn Sampler. This is the design by Cooler Design Studios. This is the second in a series. I've already stitched Winter Sampler. I'm working on Autumn Sampler, and I plan on doing all 4. So I kind of like Joy. I think when I finish Autumn Sampler, then I will start probably Summer Sampler. But that's a long ways away. I have a long ways to go before I come to that decision. So this is what it looks like. This one is another one that got a little bit of extra love this year. You can see I am getting really close to finishing the witch. I finished the Halloween banner down here, and now I'm getting over into the back to school, the schoolhouse section of the design. So this is an apple here. There's like a row of apples that run down along underneath the schoolhouse. So I think we're getting close to finishing the Halloween section, and then we're going to move on to other sections. You can see we've got a cornucopia forming here. So this is like the Thanksgiving section up here. Long ways to go on this, but I'm looking forward to seeing it, getting to doing some more work on this. There goes my clothespin again. Okay. We are getting close to the end. This is the last of my whips from the beginning of the year, and then I've got 3 starts to show you. This is Louise Lallier, 1901. It's a reproduction sampler by Reflets des Soies. This one, I really enjoyed stitching this, and it's been a long time, so this is another one that I'm looking forward to pulling back out. I'm stitching this on 40 count Verdal even weave, and stitching with the DMC conversion, not the original silks. This is what it looks like so far. I am more than halfway across. This border is what's killer, but I've really enjoyed stitching the border. But I am more than halfway across with the border, which is, I think I've got 2 more letters. I think there's 2 more letters left in this top row. So that shows you how close I am to finishing the top border. I think once the top border gets finished, then this is going to take, it will kind of speed up a little bit. This one is really special to me, and it's time for me to start working on this again. So I'm looking forward to this coming back up. Like I say, it's really pretty. I just love the colors, and the border is just killer. So this is Louise Lallier, 1901, by Reflets les Soies. Okay, so that's, at the beginning of the year, those were all of my whips, both the 3 finishes and everything that I've shown you. And so here are the 3 pieces that I have started this year. The first is Die Freitag 1849. This is a reproduction sampler from the Heart Needle Art. And I started this in the middle of last year, and have worked on it the middle of this year, and I've worked on it a couple of weeks this year. I haven't gotten into any of the really exciting parts yet. It's just mostly bands. This fabric is 40 count cocoa from Weeks, and this is called this is Gloriana silk, which is what it's called for. I'm looking forward to getting down into the meat of this here. I think when I saw this, I saw this stitched in the attic, and Jean helped me get all the supplies for it. It didn't sink into the background quite as much when I saw it at the attic, but I think once I get everything stitched here, then this will kind of pop out a little bit more. But yeah, right now it kind of does sink into the background. I've got, of course, the first alphabet comes away all the way across here, and then I've been working on these larger letters. I'm working on this border here, and then we'll finish up this larger letter alphabet. This is Die Freitag 1849. All 3 of these are designs that Jean that I got from the attic needlework. This is my first Hands Across the Sea sampler, and when I saw this released, I just had to have it. It was so pretty, and I just love how this is turning out. So this has only been stitched on once since I started it. I haven't stitched on it again, but I miss it. These colors are so beautiful, and they work so well with this fabric. This is not the called for fabric. This is 46 count Prairie Grass by Seraphim, stitched with 103 Versois 103 silks. And yeah, I finished this border in this part of the page, and I started working on this. And like I say, these colors are just wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to pulling this back out and stitching more of it. I'm basically going to work one page at a time all the way across. The border is pretty intense. There's lots of stitches in the border, but it really is looking good. And then my final start is a start that I started last week. I decided that I needed to do a Christmas start, and I showed you this chart a couple of months ago, and I decided I needed to start it. So this is Oh Holy Night Nativity. It's a design by Stony Creek. There's my Idaho accent showing through. Stony Creek. So I decided that I needed to stitch something for Christmas that was more religious. So this is a nativity. And I'll show you what I have stitched so far. This is going to get a couple of days more stitching. I decided that I was going to finish the year with this just so that I could get a good start on it. And then at the beginning of next year, we'll pull up our rotation with my focus piece and then start working where I left off on my rotation. So basically I started down in the corner where I always seem to start. And basically this is just the shepherd's cloak. You can see part of his tunic starting to show up, and there's a lamb in there also that's starting to appear. So I've been mostly stitching these browns. This is a pearl cotton border that comes up through here. So we'll see more of that. The Attic Needlework helped me get this fabric. I'd never heard of it before. This is 32 count plain air. Plein, plain air. It's a very light blue, kind of like 927-ish, 928-ish. And it's a really pretty fabric, and I think it's going to go very well with this design. So this is a good start. I'm hoping to finish and start another diagonal. The diagonals are going pretty quick. And Stony Creek always has lots of color changes, but so far it's been stitching pretty easy. Just because the colors tend to run in a block. So, yeah. Of course, this has a long ways to go, but we'll see how much of it I can stitch next year. At least, hopefully, I'll get this first shepherd stitched. I think that is entirely possible. Okay, so that is my final start for the year, and yeah, I'm excited to do for this. Okay, so plans for 2023. So I've really liked having a focus piece, and I have decided the way to look at my stitching is my focus piece is kind of like my monogamous piece, and everything just has to work up until it hits the point where it can be focused on. And so everything that I start, I am kind of putting them in place to eventually be my focus piece. That's the way I'm thinking of it. And that way that helps me to not stress out about the number of whips I have. You can see I have a whole ton of whips, a whole lot of work. Most of these things still have a lot of stitching left to do on them. And at one time that kind of stressed me out. But I've come to think, well, what I'm doing is I'm just putting things in place to eventually become a focus piece. And then when they get to that point, that's when they will actually be stitched and finished. And so that has made it, I need to have a start every once in a while to help me want to stitch, to finish stuff. Trying to go without starts is not going to work for me. Trying to arbitrarily decide, pare down my whips to a certain number, that doesn't seem to be working either, because the ones that get left behind start to complain. So I'm just working through everything. I am going to have starts this next year. I think I will, right now, I'm kind of thinking when I get to the end of my rotation, I will do a start. I don't know. So that one's kind of, I don't have that planned when that will be. But plan starts, I will probably do one start for May, and probably one start for my birthday, and maybe a start at the end of the year, depending on how things feel at that time. And then any start when I hit the end of the rotation. That's gonna add to my number of whips, but I'm also going to be finishing stuff. So maybe I'll stay at parity like I am right now until I can get to a point where I have a lot of finishes, which maybe never. Anyway, so that's kind of my plans for 2023. That's the way I'm going to work. Is I'm considering myself a half monogamous stitcher, which means I have one piece that's my focus piece that I work on half the time, and the other time I'm working down through my rotation. Anyway, yeah, so that's about all I have to share with you. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for making this year a great year. I hope that you have a happy new year and that you have an enjoyable 2023. As always, you can follow my daily progress on Instagram. I am at blitstitch on Instagram. If you haven't, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That way you can be notified when I publish new videos. I always love to hear from you, and if you have any questions or want to leave any comments, I will be glad to read your comments and respond to your comments. And if you haven't, if you feel, it will also be a great help for me if you would like this video. Thank you again for spending time with me. I hope that you have a great new year, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.